Hi, this is Kerry Artek with Wicked Stocks, bringing you the daily Apple report for Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. Let's take a look at the charts. We are still between this area. You can look on the support and resistance column here. I've got 134.37 downside, which is nothing more than the October low that we came very close within a tick of retesting last Friday, and 142.07. I'm sorry, 142.67. Is the high of last Friday's low, and so it also is a pivot point. And before I get into the objectives, I just want to please ask you to click like if you're watching this right now. If each and every time you watch the Daily Apple Report, it helps us out a great deal in being found on YouTube, which is our aim. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to the Wicked Stocks YouTube channel. It'll apprise you of notification each and every time new content has been uploaded. And share the video, if you would, with friends and colleagues. We appreciate it a great deal. So 138.47, 142.67. The dynamic is still the same, and so are the pivot points for the day. I really can't get any more clever than this. It is the same. I wanted to look for new levels perhaps, but it's still 134.37 downside, 142.67 upside. Both of those levels potentially able to contain session activity. If we break or open today below 134.37, the 127.79 descending channel bottom is in reach with this kind of volatility, and it is the start of a narrowing zone of targeted long-term support down to 124.66. That's 124.58 on the weekly chart, which I'll show in a moment. In fact, you could say that 127.79 is the beginning of a narrowing zone of targeted long-term support all the way down to 117.01. And what I mean by that is we settled last Thursday. We actually gapped below this rising two-thirds speed line that today is at 147.02. And once we did that, it set off a 2 to 3 week sell signal down to the 124.66 formation. So it really is this channel bottom that I'm anticipating. And over the next full week of trade, this 127.79 descending channel bottom actually converges with that longer-term channel structure. And 124 handle support is also backed up on the weekly chart by 117.01, a rising two-thirds speed line projected off that significant March 2020 COVID low. That also takes into account the January 22 all-time high. So 117.01 to 124.58 is a narrowing zone of long-term support. It all comes together by the end of the year that can absorb selling through Q1 of next year, possibly well into next year. And once again, it is a 2 to 3 week objective below 147.02. I'll get back to this chart. I also still have, of course, 138.20. 138.20 is still the low settlement price that was put out in the very end of September, early October. I'm not quite sure, but it's right at the turn of the month at 138.20 level. It's just a minor point. 140.27, just a minor point, but nonetheless tradable if you're an aggressive day trader in Apple. So, if you're looking for the trade of the day, you can trade both sides of this market between 134.37 and 142.67. And just remember that if we break 134.37, the trade of the day becomes short to the downside, 127.79 than anticipated. And inversely, upside, if we push through 142.67, it's not be short or get long up to 147.02, where we can top out for the week and fall off from there. 124.66, once again remaining a 2 to 3 week target below 147.02. If we were to close today above 147.02, and I think that's a long shot, but if we did, we're just another few days at the most from reaching this more meaningful descending two-thirds speed line that is presently at 155.92. We came very close to testing this. Was it last week? It may have been the previous week, the previous Friday, but in any event, we came within a hair of testing it, and this is a trend-defining element. And as I've been saying, if you've been watching the Daily Apple Report for the last couple of weeks, you'll know that as we were coming very close to testing this line study a week and a half or so ago, that I was mentioning how below which that the 124.66 formation is attainable. The market prone to testing it over the next couple of months. And as it turns out, just several days later, we gapped below the speed line that set us up for a 2 to 3 week sell-off into the 124.66 area. bottom line, in terms of looking into later November, December trade, I don't turn bullish unless we close above 155.92. And under that scenario, I would expect the upper 170s. Let's see, is it properly shown here? It is 179.31. So, it is way off the mark here. But if over the next week or two we manage to close above 155.92, good November low, we should then spend, the balance of November and into December trade recovering up to 179.31, this long-term channel top, almost 6 months in the making, able to contain monthly buying pressures, possibly quarterly buying pressures when tested, if tested. And that if becomes a when if we were to close above 155.92 over the next week or two. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say. I think I will just sort of leave you with this image. This is really says everything here. You've got all the levels, all the major levels for today. Pivot points 134.37, 142.67, above 142.67, 147.02 expected within the day, where we can top out for the week and fall off again from there. The 124.66 to 127.79 area remain a 2 to 3 week target below 147.02. And downside today, 134.37 can contain intraday weakness, but be careful bottom picking this, I might add. We remain heavy into later November below 147.02, and breaking 134.37 is considered an eventuality, essentially. And if today 127.79 is attainable, and that is the beginning of a bottom picking zone of longer term support down to 124.66 that can contain selling through the rest of the year. And I think that pretty much rounds it out for today's Daily Apple Report. I'll be back tomorrow with Wednesdays, and you have a great day. Please click like.